Set in the 1970s, a boy hides in a closet as masked figures break into his family's remote farmhouse. He watches helplessly as his parents are brutally murdered. After the killers leave, he steps out and quietly picks up one of their masks. Implication: one of the strangers may have once been a victim too, starting a twisted cycle. The stopover: present day. MIA, a school teacher, and Daniel, a former Marine, on a road trip to try to rekindle their strained relationship. They decide to stay a night in a quiet, scenic mountain town called Whispering Pines. The motel they choose is oddly empty but clean. The motel owner, Ms. Heller, is cold and avoids eye contact. A family portrait behind the desk shows her with a young girl, her daughter. At a diner, a kind waitress subtly warns MIA, "Don't stay in those old motels this late in the season." When asked why, she just replies, "Some places aren't meant for people anymore." Later, an old woman gives them a Bible with a passage marked in blood-red ink: "Violence shall visit the complacent." Back at the motel, night falls. A soft knock at the door. Is Tamara home? It's a young girl's voice. They open the door to find no one. It repeats 30 minutes later. Daniel steps out to look around. In the distance, a figure watches from behind a tree. The couple's phones go dead. The landline doesn't work. The motel's power flickers, then dies completely. When Daniel tries to start the car, it won't turn over. The battery is missing. They are truly alone. They see a figure standing in the motel hallway, facing the wall. When Daniel approaches, it vanishes. Moments later, a brick crashes through their window. In the shattered glass, they see Dollface standing in the dark, unmoving. Panic sets in. They flee the room, barefoot, grabbing only a flashlight. They run into the dense woods behind the motel, chased by eerie laughter and footsteps. They find an abandoned ranger station deep in the woods. Doors open, seemingly untouched for years. Inside the station, they find disturbing items. Polaroids of other victims, with red XS drawn over their faces. An audio cassette of a man whispering. Fear makes the soul visible. Maps of the area marked with red circles. A carved phrase on the wall reads, "They watch, they choose, they punish." Using Daniel's survival training, they rig a simple snare trap with tripwire and nails. They bait it by lighting a lantern and pretending to sleep. It works. Pin-up girl steps into the trap, screaming. But another stranger frees her before they can act. Daniel is stabbed while trying to defend MIA. Another flashback. A teenage girl in a white gown kneels in front of the original man in the mask. He paints her lips red and places the doll-face mask on her. A voiceover says, "Fear must be taught, not inherited." In desperation, MIA finds a working ham radio. She sends a distress call. After tense static, someone responds. A park ranger named Harris, saying he's nearby and coming to help. They are told to stay hidden and silent until he arrives. Ranger Harris arrives in a patrol truck. He calmly enters the cabin, looks at Daniel's wounds, and says he'll help them escape. But his behavior shifts. He blocks the doorway, turns off the radio, and smiles. Is part of them. MIA is knocked out during a scuffle. When she wakes, Daniel is gone. She follows a trail of blood and smoke to a remote barn deep in the woods. Inside, Daniel is bound, surrounded by candles and animal skulls. The strangers begin a ritualistic chant, wearing new masks with symbols. MIA breaks emotionally but gathers her strength. She sharpens a piece of rebar and armors herself with scraps. She no longer runs, she stalks them. Her transformation echoes the classic final girl archetype. She becomes predator rather than prey. MIA fights and kills Pin-Up Girl in a terrifying hand-to-hand fight. During the struggle, the mask falls off. She's Ms. Heller's daughter, now in her 20s. MIA is shaken. The strangers aren't just drifters, they are locals. In the barn basement, MIA finds journals and photographs. The group calls themselves the Unseen. They are not a random trio. They are a cult that believes the world has become numb and indifferent. We punish those who live without faith. They choose victims who seem complacent or emotionally detached. Daniel is about to be burned alive as a symbolic cleansing. MIA bursts in, killing Dollface with an axe. A fist fight ensues. She burns part of the barn down in the chaos. She stabs Ranger Harris in the neck and frees Daniel. The man in the mask chases MIA through the forest as the barn burns. She lures him into an old hunting trap. He steps on a concealed pit of spikes. He doesn't scream. He just smiles as he bleeds. The couple is rescued by morning police patrols. Daniel is hospitalized. MIA is emotionally shattered but alive. Authorities find burned bodies, but not all of them are accounted for. Man in the mask's body is gone. MIA, now in a hospital, stays blankly at the ceiling. A kind nurse walks in and checks her vitals. As she turns to leave, she pauses, then softly asks, "Is Tamara home?" Mia's heart monitor spikes as the nurse walks out, vanishing down the hallway. Fade to black. Credits roll.